guitarists, welcome to today's tutorial. It's a study or an etude. Just in case you're wondering what the word etude means, it means study. These studies that you find on my channel, or actually any of the studies that you find for guitar, are exactly that. They're studies and they're usually focused in on one particular type of technique or maybe several. It just depends on the etude itself. For this etude I believe that it's about keeping your right hand quite steady and learning how to keep your fingers close to the strings. There's a couple of other things that you can also try in there. I didn't actually do them in this performance, but there are certain places where you can also try practicing apoyando with the thumb, which is coming to rest on the string below the string that you're picking after you've picked, like this. That kind of thing. Tone and a different kind of clarity to the bass notes that you're playing. The other thing that I mentioned is keeping your fingers close to the strings. But there, you don't actually have to do full planting. Full planting is when you place all of your fingers on the strings before you actually play those strings. For example, if the first stanza I'm doing this, first start that, I've actually got my three fingers on the strings, thumb on the 5th string, index on the 3rd string and middle on the 2nd string before I even play. That's the first part, and it repeats that throughout. There, the first group of every 8 notes, that's when you can begin your planting. Then again, or whatever the notes happen to be. But that's a great technique to practice full planting. The other main technique that I think, and even it doesn't even seem like a technique really, is actually just keeping your hand as still as you possibly can, which means avoiding this kind of unnecessary moving of the hand up and down. So you're trying to keep it really, really steady. We're keeping the movement to the knuckle here and these knuckles, so you're moving like this. The thumb moves down from here, not really like a trigger, more like you're pressing something down like that, and your fingers move upwards towards the palm like this, and they're moving towards each other like that. What you want to try to avoid is any unnecessary curvature of the fingers, you know, like an eagle claw. You want to try and keep everything sort of smooth like this and really relax the tip of your finger so that it guides across the string like a paintbrush, just softly like that, giving in, not really too tense. Anyway, if you like this tutorial, make sure you destroy the like button and subscribe to the channel, because there's a whole lot of good content on here and it's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time passes. I'm adding more and more videos all the time. So if you don't want the hassle of like trying to find me again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's an A minor, and it's just runs straight through. There's no repeats in the original composition. It just runs straight through. But of course this is a study, so you play it as many times as you need to become confident with the points that I mentioned earlier. Let's play this. It starts with an open A, and then it's followed by 2nd fret on the G string, then 1st fret on the B string, and then back to that G string. Then you do that again from 2nd to 3rd string like this. Remember what I mentioned, if you can, start with a plant that's all of your fingers on. P, I, M, I, M, I. P, I, M, I, M, I. Then back to that open A and then to the 2nd fret on the G string again. Then you're going to put your finger onto the 3rd fret of the D string, play that string first and then the others exactly as they were for the first part. And then you do that again, P, I. We start from the beginning. lifted off the third finger and the first finger, and we've left the second finger on, and we've plucked the exact same pattern on the exact same strings. Let's put that together. Then we're moving to an E7 chord. That second finger on the second fret of the D string, first finger on the first fret of the G string, and fourth finger on the third fret of the B string. Pluck the exact same pattern again. Remember to start with a full plant. Keep your fingers relaxed and try to keep them really close to the strings that they're picking. Let's go from the beginning. Now in this section we're going to be bringing in the annular finger or the ring finger. We're going to be doing this pattern here. That's P, I, M, I, A, I, M, I. And the good thing with this etude is that your fingers stay on the same strings. The only thing that's moving is your thumb. Your annular finger will always be picking the first string, middle always picks the second string, and index always picks the third string. This pattern, it's back to the first chord, the A minor chord, but the pattern is this. P, I, M, I, A, I, M, I. The strings, 5, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3. You can start that full planting as well. Then we're going to move to a G7 chord. That's third fret on the sixth string and first fret on the first string. Same picking pattern, but this time your thumb has moved up to the sixth string. If you can, start with full plant. So if we start from the beginning of that section. Then we're going to do a subtle shift. Let's explore just a little bit with the left hand. We have this G7 chord, and it's followed by a C major chord. Now moving there doesn't have to be anything dramatic. You know, sometimes I find that one of the biggest faults when I'm teaching, well I shouldn't say fault, one of the biggest issues that people tend to forget is what their fingers are doing in between chords. You know, you're focused on that chord and then you're focused on that chord, but sometimes you sort of lose focus of what's happening in between and you wonder, why do I keep missing that chord? Quite often it's because you're doing something that maybe you shouldn't do in your left hand. This is a case in point. This is a fairly easy shift. It's just like this. Your first finger is coming up to the first fret on the second string and your third finger is going down to the third fret on the A string. It's a pretty easy shift, but sometimes people will do this kind of thing. They'll be there and then their fingers will fly out all over the place and then they'll struggle to get back there in time. Just, if you're struggling with that, make sure you just spend some time just shifting like that. You can always do that with any chords that are proving to be difficult. Sometimes it's not the chord itself that's difficult, it's a transition between the chords, and often there's some little tricks that you can employ to make that a little bit easier on yourself. So just keep trying that one, if that's, you know, a little bit of an issue for you. So let's continue on. So we have this C chord. The picking is the same, except this time the thumb has returned to the fifth string. Full plant. That section. Then to a E7 chord with a B in the bass, which is E7 second inversion. Same thing. Second fret on the A string, first fret on the G string, and third fret on the B string. Same strings. That section sounds like this. Then we have this, something that hasn't happened before. Go back to the opening chord. Thumb, index, middle, index. Then to the second chord, thumb, index, middle, index. Then to the third chord, Carcassi there has employed quite a common compositional technique in that he's halved the values of the original chord progression. That chord progression took 2 bars to do at the beginning, but in this instance it only takes 1 bar. Before it was this. This time it's the exact same chords played the exact same way, but the rate of harmonic movement is increased. Then we're up to the last couple of bars. So we're back to that second picking pattern, back to the A minor as well. Thumb, index, middle, index, annular, index, middle, index on the A minor chord, the first chord of the song. Then to, which is kind of like an E suspended fourth with an A in the bass. So we have open A, first fret on the G string, and then open B, back to the first fret on the G string, open E, and then back to 3, 2, 3. So that is. Then do it again, back to the A minor. This time, go back to the G sharp, or the first fret on the G string, but put the 7th on as well, which is a D. Do the exact same picking. Then we're into the last bar. It's just the A minor. You run through that pattern twice. And then finish with open A. Let's try it from the beginning. Once you're happy with that, you can experiment with all kinds of stuff. Something else you could do is just try moving from the natural position to ponticello while you're playing. Or you could practice crescendo. Crescendo means to gradually get louder. Diminuendo is to get quieter. Try something like this. Another thing you could try to do is put both of those things together, which is maybe changing the overall tone and increasing and decreasing the volume at the same time. Could sound like this. It's really entirely up to you how you want to do it, but you should of course focus on the main things that I mentioned. Keeping your hand really steady, full planting, and also experimenting with apoyando in the thumb. Fellow guitarists, thank you for joining me today. That's the end of this tutorial. It's nice and short. A really sweet piece I think to get into. It sounds really lovely, and of course it's really going to help you to develop your right hand technique. A little bit more so than the left hand. It's not really about the left hand, it's more about the right hand. If you need a little bit more assistance with the right hand, make sure you check out my series devoted to Giuliani's 120 exercises for the right hand. They are studies in themselves, but they're not really very musical. This is pretty musical. It's got a few nice chords in it, and it sounds like it's an actual piece of music, that, you know, a developed piece of music, whereas the 120 exercises, they're just technical oriented. You know, there's no real harmonies happening in there, and they can become a bit tiresome and bored. That's why a lot of people give up before they actually finish all 120 of them, I think. I don't know many people that have. If you're out there and you're listening and you've given up, make sure you keep going. Try to get right through to all 120, and you will have a phenomenal right hand technique after you do that. Anyway, that's enough from me. Make sure you check me out on Instagram and Facebook, and also Twitter, because I'm active on all of those accounts. You can find the links to that here on my channel, and also if you want the free tabs for this, make sure you click on the link below. If you want a paid version that has my right hand fingering suggestions and also my left hand fingering suggestions and some performance notes, there's a link on that, and for a small fee you can also download that one. All the best and let your fingers fly.